All right. I have one concern, and that is tire wear. So, yeah. I will probably be pulling away from them. I just gotta get the last turn nailed down. But tire wear is the biggest concern by far. Tupac in WWE? That's new. Have any of y'all come across those AI cat videos where it's like these humanoid giant cat things that are... It's so bizarre, but I could see why Facebook boomers would eat that shit up. If you ever use YouTube signed out, it'll probably show up on your homepage. Because they have like tens of millions of views. It's ridiculous. Also, that is that's strange. My front inside tire is wearing faster than my outside. It's not normal. Technically, the outside tire is supposed to be getting the most yeah. Also, like, driving off the banking is actually giving me more grip. GT4. Not enough to go flat out, though, but... I don't think Hollywood, like, real actors and shit like that, I don't think they're gonna be replaced by AI, but I know for sure video effects artists, graphic designers, CGI people, whatever you want to call them, they are definitely gonna get replaced. They're gonna get replaced by somebody that knows how to do an AI prompt, and yeah. If you thought Marvel looked terrible nowadays, just wait for another year or two. It's gonna be turbo slop CGI. They're probably already using AI for Avengers Doomsday right now. Half their movies are... Well, not half their movies, but like half the movies... AI is probably used in half of the... This is it. This is where my brain compartment shuts down. You know what I mean? This actually drives, like, kind of decent around here. I thought it was going to be, like... Yeah. More rough. Yeah, entertainment industry, I think only some jobs and careers are going to be at stake, but the biggest threat AI has is towards software developers, programmers, IT guys, Ironically, because those are the guys making the AI in the first place. They are literally building their own replacement. Of course, not every IT guy is working on developing AI models, but that's the number one reason why I do not want to get into that field. Yes, there is a lot of money to be made, but probably not a whole lot of time remaining there. Yeah, it is weird. Like, there's so many movies in like the mid 2000s and earlier that had like super good CGI. Like Pirates of the Caribbean. My brain's already shutting down. Yeah, stuff like that. This is like a prime example, really, but Pirates of the Caribbean, Transformers, that had like Transformers. I think still to this day, like the first two movies at least, had some of the best CGI like in any like almost any movie. That was like rock solid. And it also feels like it was like by far the most expensive to make, but if you look at a modern Marvel movie nowadays, they will literally CGI a guy that's just standing there and talking. I saw this one She-Hulk clip where She-Hulk meets Daredevil on like a parking garage roof or some shit, and they CGI'd the entire thing. Of course, like, I don't think the actor for Matt Murdock, I forgot his name off the top of my head, but I don't think he's good enough to do like flips and shit when he was fighting her, but that whole thing was CGI and it looked terrible. It was depressing. But that's Marvel nowadays. They'll just CGI anything instead of using practical effects that probably wouldn't cost them that much. Also, my front left, still for some strange reason, is the one that's wearing down the fastest, but it's almost cooked. Oh no, I do not need any of that. Boost, please. Thank you. Alright, I gotta figure out real quick how much I want to pit. I think I'm just gonna pit now. Or next lap, just to keep it even. But that will leave me with 7 laps at the end, so I'm just gonna pit now. Every 19 laps. Hope that's the right choice. I haven't seen any Fantastic Four movie in a very long time, but I don't remember the Silver Surfer one, like, from the mid-2000s. I think it was 2004 when that came out. Something like that, but... Wait, am I still in... Oh, wow. I'm still in P1. I'll take it. I didn't actually know I was 2 laps ahead. And there's still one behind. Alright, well, I guess even if I do pit that often, it shouldn't be a problem. Could get a new PB right here with the slip. But I just have like whenever it comes to like movies in general, I have really bad superhero fatigue, and I've had it for a long time. I didn't even watch like most of the Avengers movies, and I got superhero fatigue just from people like constantly talking about it. It's like, all right, how many times can you essentially tell the same story over and over again? Spider-Man is a perfect example of that. One Spider-Man wasn't enough, then they had to get another one, and another one, and another one, and they all kind of had the same story. Boo-hoo, somebody who got really lucky with superpowers to make them incredibly strong, reflexive, like flexible, and all this shit. You have some personal problems going on in your life, boo-hoo. Same story, over and over and over again. Like, come on. That's all it is nowadays. I mean, at least Avengers, it's like, yeah, universal threat. Sure. But it's like, how many times can you, like, copy and paste the same character over and over? Yeah. It makes money, that's the only reason why it's around. But, like, some sort of, like, storytelling standards would be nice. The recent superhero, I wouldn't really call him superhero, but Daredevil. I really liked Daredevil, the series, the Netflix series. I liked Punisher. And, well, those two, they're like entirely different from like most superhero origin stories and shit like that. Punisher especially. But I really, really like those two shows. And I was into The Boys for the first few seasons. Last season was kind of eh. They're getting a little... I don't know. The Boys is... It has some, like, really awesome moments, but also some, like, really just, like, cringy and especially disgusting moments. Like, some of the scenes in that show are just like, what the fuck? Like, I can't recommend this show to, like, half of the people that I know, because they would be, like, so grossed out and be like, what the fuck are you watching? You know? There's, like, so much of that unnecessary shit in The Boys, but everything else about it, like, especially season 1 and 2, ooh, that was a really good show. Yeah, the milk scenes, there's, like, so many examples. I can't really explain most of them. It's that bad. But it's, like, so unnecessary. It really... that kind of shit doesn't really add anything to the story. It's just there to be edgy, I guess. But yeah, it's really, like, The Boys, like, as a show, as a story, it's like a super cool concept. Like, all these superhero stories, like, from Marvel and DC, it's all about the people who are powerful and act in good faith. Good faith, that's not the right word, but the heroes, superpower people, like, they're all the good guys, and the bad guys don't really do, like, anything that crazy. But The Boys is, like, the spin on it to where, like, what if normal people did actually get powerful and then they abused it for their own gain, or, like, a more realistic spin on it, I guess you would say. It's a cool concept, but it's just like some of the things they do, it's just like, come on. Don't need that. But other than that, I don't really watch any other kind of superhero stuff. Not Fantastic Four, not Superman. Yeah, just not into it. I haven't watched the new Daredevil season on Disney Plus yet because that requires getting Disney Plus. Yuck. But I don't know if it's any good. And I'm really curious to see what they do with Punisher, because Punisher is supposed to be like the most brutal out of all of them. Like the Netflix show, they had some pretty grotesque scenes in there, but it was mostly like gore related. It wasn't like The Boys level disgust. But I don't know if Disney has the balls to do something like the Netflix show was. I might go watch the new Spider-Man movie because Punisher is supposed to be in it, but I don't know. They might ruin him in that movie too, because they're obviously not going to make a R-rated Spider-Man movie. It's going to be PG-13 at most, so Punisher's not going to be his true self. At least I don't think. So I should be pitting this lap, but my tires are still okay, so I'll just go one extra. Ooh, okay. Almost missed. Alright, so we're a third of the way through this. 18 minutes down. We might actually finish this in less than an hour. So that would be nice. But I think these are actually the shortest two races of the whole series, if I'm not mistaken. Wait a minute, isn't there a test course race? I think there's actually a test course race. I'm not certain, though. No? Okay, thank God. Also, random thought, I wonder what happened to this track IRL. Because last I heard, during the 2011 earthquake, it basically destroyed the track at one spot. Like, it basically cracked all the way down it, and like somewhere along the banking, to where like one piece of the road was like this, and the other piece of the road was like this. You know what I mean? But I actually haven't heard anything about that in recent years. So I don't know if the track is still like decommissioned or if they rebuilt it and just haven't used it for any big races or anything, or what's going on. That might actually be a question for Chat GPT. One of those rare instances. I was not expecting this much of a lead, especially this early on. Also, I think every race, or maybe every other race, I'm gonna back out to the main menu so the game can save, and then I'll just jump back in. I'd rather do that than rely on save states. Just to make sure. Big slipstream. Works. Really surprised that wasn't a best lap. I think the front end is trying to lift a little bit. Yeah, this is like actually one of the hardest, or the endurance race for this track is like one of the hardest. Because you're basically, you're not really, pulling away from the AI because their tire wear is just that much better. So because of you pitting more often and not really that many chances to pull away from them, just doing laps, it kind of holds you back a lot. But if you tune your suspension, like getting rid of the toe, lowering the camber maybe, and doing whatever else for tire wear, then you probably could get like an extra couple laps out of it. And then just run on like hards or something. Alright, this has got to be it. This lap right here. Nope. That was an unexpected little boost in grip. Also, the next race after this is New York, which is 74 laps. And, I think the laps, time-wise, are a little bit longer than Tokyo, so it's probably going to be over an hour and a half for that one. Also, it's going to be like... New York is not suited for this car either. Because it's just 90-degree corners, low speed. Gonna be a whole lot of wheel spin. Oh, there's a lot of Gran Turismo 4 tracks that aren't in GT7. A lot of them. Now that I think about it, I think I should add another lap to my pit cycles. Probably should have been doing that. So that instead of just pitting at the end for another 7 laps, I kind of like even it out over time. So I don't have to do an extra pit at all. I think just going an extra lap or 2 on dead tires is going to be way faster than an extra pit. And the tires aren't really dead. I still have, like, the tires are supposed to be getting the most grip, have the least wear. Still don't understand how that's working. I'm really curious to see, like, where they even go with the PS6, because, like, where else is there to go? They already have NVMe SSDs for loading times. The graphics, I mean, all they can really do is push the graphics more, which is it going to be 8K? Is it going to be like 8K 120 hertz? That'd be something. Is it going to be like better ray tracing, which really, who cares about ray tracing nowadays? I think everybody's over it, including me. Or is it just going to be, like, better CPU powered, where, like, for the next GT game, GT8, you'll be able to, like, do races with, like, 32 AI on the track instead of 20. That's what I'm hoping for, at least. I hope they prioritize, like, being able to have, like, much bigger races. And also, like, make some changes in the lighting. If they can make headlights work better to where, like, there's not a void in the car, like, in front of the car that's in front of you. Or make rain look better. Or make, or allow more cars to be on track. It's just a waste. The models are already plenty good enough. I don't think they need to crank up the foliage or whatever nonsense on the side of the track, which you never look at. If they're gonna do anything, I hope they focus on like car count. There it is again. I just saw it. It just flew right in front of me. I think it's gone. There's no way I'm gonna find it. It was a mosquito again for those of you who just joined. Yeah, I mean, speaking of AI. Oh, there it is. Ugh. What a troll. Alright, brown flag. Brown flag. Well, also, I doubt it's going to happen, but I hope for PS6 they release a PSVR 3. I don't think the 2 was successful enough for Sony to bother trying it a third time. Because PSVR 2, it released at like a $550 price tag, and now I think the base price for it is actually $350. If I'm not mistaken. So, pretty steep price cut. Which, yeah, that needed to happen from the very beginning anyways, because $550 was kind of insulting. But I mainly got it to make content with it anyways, so... Either that, or make PSVR 2, like, compatible with PS6 from the get-go. Then that would be nice. Yeah, and backwards compatibility with all previous PlayStation generations. That would be nice too. But it won't happen. I think the disc is going to be completely extinct by that point. It'll be all digital. Everybody will be forced to download 300 gigabyte games. Also, I saw like a headline a couple days ago, something about the Japanese government wanting to crack down more on piracy. And something tells me that it also involves emulation as well. Because they did try to go after emulation like years ago, but they failed. Because they couldn't like link emulation to absolute piracy or whatever. I'm not familiar with the whole situation or whatever, but I think eventually, especially like with what Nintendo's been doing the past few years, they're probably going to try to go after emulation again. Of course, nothing's happened so far with PCSX2 and but who knows? Sony is a Japanese company, but they're not Nintendo. And if Nintendo can do it, Sony probably can as well. Wow. Okay, I actually took that flat out. Was I able to do that this whole time? I don't understand what I did differently. All right. See, I don't get how Nintendo would have the power to do that in the first place. If emulation is not technically illegal, how are they able to shut it down? And then there's also like Activision, for an example. They went after all the modded clients for Call of Duty, like IW4X, Plutonium. I forgot what the new one was called. It was for MW2 Remastered, but Activision sent out cease and desists for those projects. And those got shut down. I think there's still, like, the servers and shit for them. I think those are still up, but they just couldn't, like, develop it anymore. I think one big problem with a lot of these projects that people are doing is that they're kind of like on the fence whenever it comes to like the legality of it. And it's usually stuff that the developers themselves chose to do or what not to do, like for the Crew. I think that's what the game was. It's either the Crew or Project Cars. I forgot which one, but one of those was just recently revived. The games were unplayable because you needed an online connection to play with them, or to play them, and they shut down the servers. So the games were completely unplayable. And then I started seeing tweets about like, hey, we're working on this thing to bring Project Cars or the Crew. Yeah, the first Crew. There's this project to bring it back online or to revive the game or make an offline patch. I forgot which one they were going for, but I kept seeing these tweets over and over again, like, it's a month away, it's a few weeks away, it's coming out soon. It's like, guys, are you trying to get your whole project shut down? Like, really, like, nobody needs to know this stuff ahead of time. Like, you could just come out and say, like, hey, we made a patch for it. Here you go. Release it into the wild and make it impossible to shut down then. But if you reveal to the entire world that you're doing something that the developers might not like, then it's more likely to get shut down. GT4 Spec 2 is like, I think it's like a different kind of situation because it's a mod. It's not like it was bringing back online servers or something like that. I think that's like a whole different thing. But nothing ever happened with it. I probably would have approached it a little bit differently if I would have, like, learned that or, like, knew about that risk ahead of time, but luckily for us, that didn't happen. And Spec 2 is still kicking a year later. Same with GT4 Online. I mean, that kind of came out of nowhere. So, GT4 Online got revived in 2021, and it's still around. I guess, like, that still being around by that time kind of made me think, like, Spec 2 was safer in that regard, but some other projects, like, especially the Call of Duty modded clients, like, everybody knows how cutthroat Activision is. But you're posting these development tweets every single day for months leading up to the release. And then, wouldn't you know it, like a week before it actually releases, Activision shut it down. So, yeah, but that Polyphony did that, so because Polyphony did that, nobody else had to do it. Oh, shit. That slipstream kind of threw me off there a little bit. Never thought I'd actually crash on this track. But yeah, the developers themselves, they fixed GT Sport. If somebody else were to do it, they might have had some issues with Sony or whatever, but I don't know. For an older game like GT4, I don't think Sony or Polyphony themselves really care. Especially now that bigger YouTubers like Jimmy Broadbent, he streamed Spec 2, he played, like, made a few videos of Spec 2, and he's still, like, one of the commentators for GTWS, so I really don't think they care. But Activision, Nintendo, they have shown in the past that they will fuck you up. And that's exactly what they always do. It just depends on a multitude of factors. I could just rest my left foot on the ground now that I don't have to use the brake. The last Nintendo product I ever had was the original Wii, by the way, so yeah. I never had a DS, I never had a Switch. I'm, like, completely unfamiliar with that world entirely. I had a Game Boy Advance SP when I was like 5, and I had a Wii. Also, now that I mention it, I remember I had Crash Bandicoot for the Game Boy. Game Boy is Nintendo, and Crash is a Sony thing. So I guess it started out on Nintendo, then Sony bought it or something? I don't know how that works, but... yeah. I don't know, random thought. Oh, not again. Man, in the late 2000s, the Wii was GOAT. Like, probably one of the all-time greatest consoles, but it was short-lived. It was really fun, but the fun only lasted like a year or so before I got bored with it and went back to PS2. That was close. I think I need to go one more lap. Maybe 2. Yeah, 2. And then this will be the last pit. You know what DK stands for? Donkey Kong? Yes, actually. Oh, okay. Still need a dictionary. I'm getting hungry. I just realized I did not eat before the stream. But I don't really have that many snacks. Fatal error in my planning. You know, that is a good point. He's clearly a gorilla or ape or whatever, but they call him Donkey. This is it right here. This is the lap. Okay, maybe not for that bump. Alright, never mind. Sub 25. Decent. Yeah, I've just never had a Nintendo console of any kind just because there's not really anything Nintendo makes that interests me. Ooh, I could get back-to-back substreams on this next lap. Right here. Oh, wow. I got into it really far back. Just don't bump into them this time. And also, that's probably the best spot to get a slipstream, because I could carry the speed. There we go. Shaved off another 10th. Ten laps ahead. I was expecting like maybe 2 by this point. Oh, oh. Would be cool if I had a Formula style wheel for this. But I don't. Or that and Fanatec is like ridiculously expensive. Alright, well, that was terminally boring, but it's over. Race 2. Oh. Less than an hour long, at least, so that was nice and quick. Swiftly move on. And I cannot save any more replays because somehow the virtual memory card is full, so gonna have to deal with that some other way.